Season 2 of Vinland Saga is just so serene and quietly beautiful. I mean, even though this is taking place in a setting with an incredibly depressing and negative connotation and sometimes depicts the harassment and discrimination that slaves have to deal with here, the atmosphere is actually quite nice and peaceful, and that presents an interesting contrast in what the show does with its main character in this arc. Vinland Saga's first season was a very turbulent anime filled with blood, gore, and a lot of violence to say the least. So something that a lot of people can probably pick up on is the fact that this arc is slowing things down for the main character, giving him time for reflection and focusing on character building and development. But what's also great about this arc is the way that Thorfinn, or Torfinn, whatever the fuck you want to pronounce it as, kind of gets the chance to finally live out his childhood again. He learns about these simple things like how to grow wheat or how to take care of a farm, even learning what a friend is. Something that's common knowledge to the rest of the world, but something that he never got the chance to fully grow accustomed to. And he learns all of these things as a slave, which is what I meant by the interesting contrast between the chance to re-experience his childhood and, well, being a slave. He made a lot of mistakes, ignored the advice of his father, and now after he's lost his reason to live, he can finally rebuild himself, reflect upon all of the awful things he did, overcome his trauma, choose pacifism, grow as a person, and live the life that his father always wanted for him, yada yada. It's a nice change of pace from the more brutal shit that happened in that first season. Honestly, never in a million years did I imagine Vinland Saga doing something this bold, since it seemed to be very heavily leaning into the political warfare shit, but I feel like this is a very appropriate and fitting way to continue the story. There's just a lot of good human drama going on in the season, and not just from the protagonist. The way they started the season with Einar's little village getting ravaged was great. It was an awesome way to introduce the guy to the show and get him involved with Thorfinn, and the way that the show tracks their perspectives of each other changing throughout the course of the season until they finally really start to enjoy each other's company is great. By episode 10, their dynamic feels so warm and genuine, and when you watch that scene of them chopping down the tree, it's hard not to feel seriously happy for the both of them. Another scene that I really want to make note of is actually the scene where these two earlier on in the season tried uprooting a tree without seeing much success, where the entire process of cutting up the roots and pulling and figuring out the best way to lift it out of the ground, going back to chop the roots again, everything is shown to us, and that process and struggle is so vital to the very infectious feeling of triumph once they finally get the job done at the end. The direction of these scenes are really good at conveying that sense of joy and fulfillment you get from having a goal and purpose and finally accomplishing what you've set out to do. I also love it whenever stories decide to make parallels between certain characters, and the link between Thorfinn and Canute is the idea of ambition. Now, like I've already said, at the end of the first season, Thorfinn pretty much lost his reason to live since the person he swore revenge against was killed by someone other than him, and because he lost his ambition, he ironically was able to grow and develop a much more healthy outlook on life. Canute, on the other hand, only had his ambition amplified when his father passed, and he became king. He's become this really cutthroat warlord who'd even poison his own brother. One was raised on the battlefield and became a pacifist who feels deep remorse over punching a guy in the face now, which, by the way, that episode where they went to Valhalla was fucking incredible and I really liked it, while the other was sheltered his entire life and turned into a fear-inducing warmonger, both of these outcomes being influenced by Askeladd's guidance and his subsequent death. This is some really smartly written stuff, and I'm really glad that Vinland Saga shows us this contrast through just good, straightforward storytelling as opposed to doing something like having a character monologue about it and describe in explicit detail what makes this character element so clever, like kind of what I'm doing right now, because that would make me fucking hate everything. There's something really sad about the way Canute slowly seems to be losing his humanity, but at the same time, the season is also really hopeful when you take a look at how optimistic and how like a normal human being Thorfinn has become. Anyways, Vinland Saga Season 2 is freaking magnificent as of this recording. It has really good, smartly written parallels between characters, good human drama in general, all the characters have these crusty ass lips, and yeah, you should just watch it. Thanks for watching, and I'll be going now.